Welcome to the Persecution Report. I'm Greg Musselman. 3 North Korean church leaders are executed.
I'm sad to hear that because it reminds me of the time I was abused and suffered as a Christian in North Korea.
Later, Christians in Plateau State, Nigeria, continue to live in fear after hundreds were slaughtered.
As I sit here now, I can still see them in my mind attacking us. There is a rumor that the attackers have not finished with us and are going to come back.
Those stories and more are coming up on the Persecution Report. 3 leaders of an underground house church in North Korea have been executed and 20 of their Christian associates jailed. North Korean police raided a house in Pyeongsan County in Pyongyang province and arrested all 23 believers who had gathered for a religious function. The 3 leaders were tried, sentenced to death, and executed soon afterwards. The 20 others were reportedly sent to a prison camp. The 23 Christians had reportedly come to faith in Jesus Christ after some of them traveled to mainland China on business and came into contact with the church there. This North Korean Christian now living in Seoul is upset by the executions and arrests.
I'm sad to hear that because it reminds me of the time I was abused and suffered as a Christian in North Korea.
Now in his mid-60s, Tae grew up in North Korea in the home of a pastor and knows firsthand the persecution and hardship faced by the followers of Christ in North Korea, and is concerned about his Christian friends still living in the isolated country.
Yes, I do worry about them. And the one person who led our meeting, he's still in North Korea and is still alive. I have friends who are still there even though I'm here. I believe they are still gathering to talk about God, and I worry about them. I always worry because once they're caught by the authorities, then their life is over.
And we'll have more of Tae's story and what our partners in Seoul are doing to equip North Korean Christians to reach their fellow North Koreans with the gospel on upcoming persecution reports. A member of an underground Christian movement in Somalia was murdered by militant Muslims in a continuing campaign to eliminate converts from Islam. Area sources said al-Shabaab militants entered the house of Osman Abdullah Fatahaw in Afgwe, 30 kilometers from Mogadishu, and shot him dead in front of his wife and children. Osman was a longtime Christian deeply involved in the activities of the small secret Christian community. Area Christians said they suspected someone had informed the militants of Osman's faith. The assailants abducted his family, later releasing his wife on the condition that they surrender the children to be trained as soldiers. One source in Somalia said, "We know they have taken the children to brainwash them, to change their way of life from Christian to Muslim, to teach them the Quran." Members of the Baptist Council of Churches in Uzbekistan have faced prison sentences and fines in recent months for refusing state registration, citing fears it could lead to interference from the state. Unregistered religious activity in the country is banned, as is evangelizing, publishing unapproved religious literature, and attending religious meetings in private homes. 27-year-old Tahar Haydarov, who was arrested on charges of producing or storing drugs, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. Local Christians insist the case was fabricated to punish him for his religious activities. Other Christians were not permitted to testify on Tahar's behalf, and the lawyer they hired for him was not allowed in the courtroom. Tahar has appealed the ruling. Nigeria is the home to some 60 million Christians and more than 50 million Muslims. The tension between them is highest in the northern part of the country, where Sharia or Islamic law has been adopted by 12 states, and where Christians often face severe discrimination. Since 2001, churches in central Plateau State have come under attack as militant Muslims seek to extend the influence of Islam. The following report from our partners at Release International tells a story of one attack near the state capital of Jos earlier this year, where over 500 people were slaughtered. Please note that some of the material in this video may be disturbing.
This is my wife, Rose Johanna, that has been killed the time of this attack. I lost many members in my church, and we lost many things in this village. Motor cars and all food crops, they burned them all. they killed about 40 people in my church, children and men and women. We lost them. This is the mass grave. About 520 was buried in this place. I believe that Jesus Christ is helping me, because the Bible says that if someone do wrong to you, forgive him. And those that kill my members, peoples, and my wife, I will say that I forgive them.
The church on the plateau has been under attack by Muslims for the simple reason that they want to occupy the plateau. Because if they occupy the plateau, they occupy the entire country. Since 2001, about 56,000 people have been killed on the plateau, both Christians and Muslims. About 20 pastors from my church, the Church of Christ in Nigeria, have been killed. About 150 churches have been destroyed. The Muslims want to cripple the strength of Christianity on the plateau. 95% of the people on the plateau are Christians. And they want to cripple that number and thereby gain control.
My name is Naomi. I live in Dogo. On March the 7th, at about 3 a.m., when we were asleep, we heard gunshots outside. My husband went out to see what was happening. The Hausa Fulanis were attacking us. My husband ran to the church and he was killed. The attackers were killing some children outside our house. My neighbor's children, 4 of them, ran into our house. All of them were saved. I heard the Fulanis say, "Burn this house, burn that house, and leave this one." So they left our house alone. We have never before seen so many dead bodies. We are still living in great fear. As I sit here now, I can still see them in my mind attacking us. There is a rumor that the attackers have not finished with us and are going to come back. On March the 7th, they did not kill many men, and the rumor is that they are coming back for the men.
Well, please continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in Nigeria who have endured so much pain, and pray that the further violence talked about by Naomi would not take place. To view the entire report of the violence from Plateau State, go to persecution.tv, and then you can click on the report entitled Nigeria, We Forgive. Well, it's inspiring to hear persecuted Christians today follow the humble example of the Apostle Paul from 2 Corinthians chapter 1. Paul wrote, "We think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. We were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure, and we thought we would never live through it. In fact, we expected to die. But as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely only on God who raises the dead." Not surprisingly, Paul reminds his readers it's not about him, it's about an all-powerful, reliable God. Well, thanks for watching the Persecution Report. Remember, when one part of the body suffers, we all suffer. Goodbye, and God bless.
For more information on the ministry of the Voice of the Martyrs and ways in which you can help the persecuted church, please visit our website at persecution.net. That's persecution.net.